Spider-Man's new game for PS4 from Insomniac is delivering a lot between the new costume, new web-slinging combat, and a new spin on the Spidey mythos. But one thing no one expected is its choice of villain, Mr. Negative. What's up everybody, my name is Joshua Yale, and I can imagine your biggest question about Mr. Negative is, who is Mr. Negative? Well, I'm here to help you out with a recap of where he came from in the comics, what his powers and abilities are, and why he's actually a great foil for Spider-Man. Let's go. Mr. Negative is a relatively recent addition to the Spider-Man villain lineup, debuting in 2008's Amazing Spider-Man number 546. Mr. Negative is the literal dark side of philanthropist Martin Li. While the benevolent Lee runs a homeless shelter, his alter ego is a crime lord who controls the Inner Demons, one of the most powerful gangs in New York City. Mr. Negative may have an army at his disposal, but that's not the only factor that makes him one of Spider-Man's most powerful enemies. In his negative form, he's incredibly strong, fast, and durable, and he can charge up blades with deadly electrical energy. He can also infuse his goons with those same powers. But Negative's most useful skill is his ability to mind control anyone he touches. Even Spider-Man briefly became Negative's pawn in the comics, transforming into a brutal, remorseless soldier. In his good human form though, Lee's touch has the opposite effect. He can heal others, as seen when he cured former Venom host Eddie Brock of terminal cancer. That touch also wound up transforming Eddie into Anti-Venom, a hero with the power to destroy symbiotes like Venom and Carnage. I'm not making any promises, but don't be surprised if that new version of Venom makes an appearance in the game. Now, like many of Spider-Man's villains, Mr. Negative has a tragic origin story. Lee came to the US from China aboard a slave ship that crashed on the New York shore. Originally, he claimed to be the only surviving passenger after the crew abandoned ship in a storm. But the truth is, he was one of those crew members and took the identity of Martin Li from one of the dead passengers. After arriving in New York, Lee was captured by the Magia gang and was experimented on with the same dangerous drug that created teen heroes Cloak and Dagger. Since escaping the clutches of the Magia, Mr. Negative has devoted himself to rising up in the criminal underworld. Not an easy goal in the Marvel Universe, which is teeming with supervillain crime bosses, but hey, he managed to hold his own against the combined forces of the Hood and Norman Osborn during the Dark Reign crossover in 2009. Speaking of Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, it looks like the game will see him running for re-election as mayor of New York City. Add in other confirmed bad guy Kingpin, and suddenly it looks like we'll really have our webs full with big bosses. Mr. Negative's presence also comes with the introduction of a new hero, or at least a well-meaning vigilante whose methods Spider-Man doesn't always agree with. I'm talking about Yuri Watanabe, an NYPD captain who becomes the Wraith, a costume crime fighter obsessed with bringing Mr. Negative to justice. We know that Yuri is in the game as an ally to Spider-Man, so don't be surprised if the Wraith also makes an appearance. Finally, what makes Mr. Negative such a great Spider-Man villain is how closely he mirrors Spider-Man. They both live a stark dual life with an unassuming civilian identity and an alter ego with great power to shape the fate of New York City. Their personal lives are even intertwined, with Aunt May unknowingly endangering herself by volunteering to work at Martin Lee's homeless shelter, which creates an intimate link between hero and foe in classic Spider-Man fashion. That's everything you need to know about Mr. Negative. Thanks for watching. For more from Marvel's comic books, check out how we are totally digging Venom's crazy new origin, and our debate about which comic kicked off the summer better, the Avengers or DC Nation. And be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.